Antarctica. Located at the bottom of the world, this is one of the last frontiers on Earth. As inhospitable as it seems, this is a place of startling wonders, panoramic vistas, and... Hey, what are you doing here?
It's me, Lil Peanut. After I saw how good penguins can dance, I came here to Antarctica to try to meet them and learn some of their moves.
Wait a second. Your voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, I played a penguin named Atticus in HF2. Oh, I tell you what, it's cold.
Well, this is the coldest place on Earth. The lowest recorded temperature was 129 degrees below zero.
Are you a scientist or something?
Me, a scientist? Actually, I'm just the narrator. This is our documentary, Helping Penguins and Pals. So, if you wanted to learn about penguins, you're in the right place.
That's cool. But speaking of cool, why is it so cold?
Because it's the South Pole. It's so far south that it gets less sunlight than most other places on Earth.
But if it's so cold, how can the animals survive? And I thought winter was bad where I come from.
That's a great question. There are many amazing animals that live here, and each one has its own way of staying warm, raising their families, and taking care of their young.
Let me help you.
Where are the penguins? Will I get to meet them? Please, please.
Of course. Penguins are very social and like to hang out in big groups where they lay their eggs and raise their young. There are several types of penguins that live in Antarctica.
Hey, they look like Atticus, Bo, Eric, and his dad, Mumble.
That's right, Little Peanut. These are emperor penguins. To get a closer look, why don't we visit some friends of mine? They know a lot about these birds.
Hi, Little Peanut. Well, an emperor penguin looks like it's always dressed for a dinner party. They have white bellies, black heads, black backs, and black wings. What distinguishes an emperor penguin, however, from all the other penguins is its size. These are some really big penguins. They can grow to be up to 4 feet tall. That's pretty tall, and weigh as much as 88 pounds.
Fly, Daddy, fly!
Emperor penguins cannot fly, even though they have something that looks like wings. These wings, however, become very, very important when they're swimming in the ocean. In fact, they act a lot like flippers. The food source for emperor penguins is in the ocean, so they'll swim around and they'll look for things like fish, squid, and even krill. Emperor penguins do mate for life. However, to find that mate, they participate in a very elaborate courtship dance. And every winter, they come back and they find the very same mate. Once a female emperor penguin has laid an egg, she gives that egg to the male, and then she leaves. In fact, all the females leave. They go on an extended hunting expedition that can last as long as 2 months. While the females are away, the males are taking care of the egg, and they keep it warm with a brood pouch. This brood pouch is a flap of skin that's covered in feathers, and it drapes over that egg. This keeps the egg nice and toasty at about 95 degrees. Emperor penguin chicks are very vulnerable to the elements of Antarctica. In order for them to survive, they will sit on their parents' feet until they develop those feathers that can protect them from the icy cold Antarctica wind.
Little Peanut, are you okay?
Sorry, but whenever I see penguins, I just feel like dancing.
They do have that effect.
Look, it's Ramon and the Amigos.
Well, that's not Ramon or the Amigos, but these are Adelie penguins, and we can learn about them too.
The Adelie penguin is much smaller than the emperor penguin. They grow to be just over 2 feet tall and weigh as much as 12 pounds. So they're a much smaller penguin, but they're just as cute. Unlike the emperor penguin, the Adelie penguin lays 2 eggs instead of 1. Male emperor penguins take care of the chicks on their own. However, with the Adelie penguins, both parents participate in the raising of their chick. Adelie penguins generally build their nest on the rocky coastlines of Antarctica. In order to build this nest, they create a small ring that's just big enough for their eggs to sit in. And this rocky nest will ensure that that egg stays in one place.
Gosh, he's eating rocks. That's no rock, hombre. It's love stones.
Let me guess. Are those for your rock collection?
No, silly. When you're paying attention, whoever gets the pebbles gets the girl.
Well, it seems to work for the Adelis. Anyways, let's move on to some of the other animals in Antarctica.
G'day, gorgeous.
I'm sorry.
Southern elephant seal is actually the largest seal in the world. The males weigh about 4 tons and the females weigh about 1 ton. Elephant seals like to eat a variety of different things. They'll eat krill, they'll eat squid, they'll eat fish, and mainly they get their food from diving and searching for their prey for a long period of time. In fact, they can be out at sea for about 105 days. They have an extra amount of red blood cells in their system, and they actually have extra cavities to hold the red blood cells. The longest dive, actually, that's been recorded in a southern elephant seal has been for over 2 hours.
The Beachmaster backs up for nobody.
Brian the Beachmaster in Happy Feet 2 is an excellent representation of exactly what happens out in the real world. You'll have this alpha male dominating the beach. He typically stands his ground and holds that area, and you'll see a lot of yelling and bumping of chests, and eventually sometimes they get to fighting, and the alpha male usually wins, and he's been called the Beachmaster, and he's got to defend his territory.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Don't know, but it sure is ugly.
I know this one. You're an elephant seal.
That's right. Say hello to the new Beachmaster. I don't back up for anybody.
Okay, Peanut. You're the Beachmaster. But I hope no other elephant seals come along to challenge you. And while we're on the topic of large animals, let's take a look at whales.
Hi, little Peanut. Although blue whales might seem like a fish, they actually are in fact a mammal, just like humans. Blue whales are the biggest animal in the world and the biggest one ever recorded. It was about 108 feet long. That's about the size of 3 school buses. So it can weigh over 330,000 pounds, which is a really big animal.
So this is all we are. Lunch.
Blue whales love to eat krill. They can eat up to 40 million of those a day. And every time they go to feed, they open up their mouth, swallow up a bunch of krill and water, and then they push the water out of their mouth, and then they can swallow all of that krill. And every time they gulp up krill and water together, that's about 17,000 gallons, which would be enough to fill a school bus.
Hey, I almost forgot about the krill. They're those tiny, tiny, tiny creatures.
Sure, the krill are very, very small, but don't judge them by their size.
Hey, look at me. I'm small, but I'm still cool.
That's right, many of the animals in Antarctica depend on the krill. Let's zoom in for a closer look.
Krill is really important in the food chain. They're what we're called our keystone species, which means that they help keep everything working down there in Antarctica. The type that the blue whales eat are usually between 1 and 2 inches.
Come on, less thinking, more swarming. I'm sick of swarming. We've been swarming all our lives.
When there's a lot of krill packed very tightly together, that's actually a defense mechanism. They're doing that because they're trying to confuse animals that are trying to eat them. And if there's another animal kind of far away and they see this big shadow, they might think it's a really big animal and stay away. And that's why the krill try and make themselves look bigger than just one little individual animal that's really easy to eat.
Okay, Peanut. What is it this time?
You thought I was going to imitate a krill, didn't you? You're wrong. I got this under control.
So now you see, big or small, everybody here is important and special, and they all deserve food, shelter, and a safe place to raise their young. But in the future, there is much uncertainty, and plenty of things we humans should keep our eyes on. Right, Jerry?
Hi, Peanut. One of the problems we have with global climate change is greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are gases in the atmosphere that keep the Earth nice and warm for humans and for other animals. The trouble is when you get too many of these, things can get too hot. And what we're concerned about is that we are adding too many of these as a result of burning of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are coal, oil, and natural gas. Our Earth's climate has been warming now for quite some time. And with global climate change, the poles warm the first and the fastest. That's particularly true of the Arctic, but also in the Antarctic. And in Happy Feet 2, the 3 penguin species that are there are the emperors, the Adelie, and the rockhoppers. And we have seen significant declines in the populations of all 3 of those.
These are the bad times!
Yeah, our food chain gone loco.
The problems have been the loss of habitat, particularly the melting of the marginal ice, the ice around the continent that they use as their breeding areas, and also the loss of food. And both of these are related to climate change.
Thankfully, there are groups and organizations working to confront climate change and to educate people of all ages about the steps that they can take to help protect and restore wildlife and their habitats.
But they can't do all the work alone. Here are some things that you and your family can do at home to help too.
Unplug electronic devices when not in use. Take reusable bags when you go shopping. Walk, bike, carpool, and use mass transit whenever you can. Replace old light bulbs with energy-saving compact fluorescents. Dispose of garbage and chemicals properly. Plant trees and local plants because they can absorb carbon dioxide and provide habitat. Find out how to make your school greener.
Yeah, I do all that with my family, and you should too. So that's it. I hope you learn a lot about our friends in Antarctica. For more information, please visit the National Wildlife Federation at www.nwf.org/happyfeet2. Thanks, everybody. This is Lil Peanut saying peace.